Breaking tonight, a Cincinnati cop charged with murder is now out on bond in a case that has reignited a simmering national debate over race and policing in America. It involved now former University of Cincinnati police officer Ray Tensing and 43-year-old Samuel DuBose. Mr. DuBose was killed instantly by a single gunshot to the head during a routine traffic stop that went horribly wrong and was captured on the officer's body camera. Here is part of that.
Well, until I can figure out if you have a license or not, go ahead and take your seatbelt off for me.
I didn't even do nothing.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off. Stop!
Today, Ray Tensing appeared in court pleading not guilty to charges of murder and manslaughter. When the judge set a high bail, the victim's friends cheered the decision, and the judge was not having it.
The defendant is facing the possibility of life in prison. It's the court's duty to ensure his appearance. The bond will be $1 million anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a courtroom. You will conduct yourselves at all times appropriately.
$1 million bond. Attorney Stu Matthews is representing Officer Tensing. Thank you for being here tonight, Stu. So the DA came out today and made a forceful statement one day after he made the first forceful statement against your client, saying this was a no-brainer, that cops have come up to him from the department saying this is outrageous. I just want the viewers to hear what he said this morning to our own Bill Hemmer on America's Newsroom about why they didn't release the tape at first. Listen.
We wanted him to keep talking, so we didn't want him to couch his testimony around what he saw on television. And he was not dragged. I mean, he intentionally shot this man in the head, and anyone who has any common sense know the foreseeable result of shooting someone in the head is to kill them. That's why he's facing a murder charge. Your reaction to that?
Well, I like to try my cases in the courtroom, but the reason I am here tonight and have appeared at other places is because of statements like that. This case has been, Ray Tensing has been run over by a bus or a train since the day of the shooting by officials here in Hamilton County, Ohio, to the point where it's going to be very difficult for him to get a fair trial, in my opinion, and especially when the prosecuting attorney of the county is making statements like that just all the time.
It's extraordinary to hear. We saw this in the Baltimore case with Mosby. It's extraordinary to hear a DA going on TV like this to outline the details of the case and really condemn the defendant.
Well, I agree, and that's why we're trying to mount some type of response to it, because the DA he's really the Hamilton County prosecuting attorney, along with the city manager, the president of the University of Cincinnati, and others and the police chief of Cincinnati. The city manager, they've all said how terrible this tape is. Some, without even having seen it, made that pronouncement. And now the entire country, and especially here in Hamilton County, where we are going to attempt to pick a jury, believe that Ray Tensing murdered Sam DuBose without having seen any other evidence.
Well, but let me ask you this, because
we heard the complete story.
We do see the tape, and what it appears to show is that the officer shot this man because he decided to speed away, and he decided to stop him, or maybe he was fearful, I don't know, but all the man did was try to speed away, and he shot him in the head. My apologies. Hold on. Our guest has lost his earpiece, so I'm going to stand you by, because we do have our lawyers, Martha. They're here. Mark Eichlarsch, criminal defense attorney, and Arthur Aidala, Fox News legal analyst, New York trial attorney. Guys, thank you. We'll get back to the other lawyer if we can. The problem is that the tape does not support what the officer said repeatedly after the shooting. And let me just play for the audience what the officer said after the shooting. Here he is defending his single gunshot to the head of this man.
Yeah, he was dragging me.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought I was going to get run over. I was trying to stop him.
He was dragging me. He was dragging me. I thought I was going to get run over. The tape, I don't see it, Mark. I don't think it supports it.
Well, Megyn, I disagree. I think the defense has a great chance to win this case if they can get David Copperfield on board to make this tape disappear. Short of that, they've got a really difficult challenge ahead. The tape does not appear to support what this shooter is alleging.
Arthur, when you watch that tape, what do you see? Because I just want to show it down for the viewers, because they're going to argue that that Dubose started the car and started to leave, and that the officer was in fear for his life. He thought he was going to get run over, and that's why he shot him.
And I think we need to understand, this is not a regular police officer. He is, but he's not a Cincinnati local police officer. He's a university police officer. And that's something that the district attorney made clear in his statement yesterday, that the university should do what they do best in educating people. I think he told that to Bill Hammer, and not being involved in law enforcement. They should let the police department handle that. So you have an inexperienced cop with a gun who reacted to a certain situation in a horribly tragic way.
Stu is back with us now, I think. Stu, let me ask you, how are you going to argue that his statements, he was dragging me, are factual when we see no dragging on the tape? We see the car turn on, and then he shoots the guy in the head.
Megyn, I have received calls from across the country since that tape has been released, from law enforcement officers, from university professors, and from citizens who have spent time going over that tape over and over, and they have pointed out and emailed to me various things that they have seen in that tape that confirm that Ray Tenzing somehow ended up some 20 to 25 feet beyond the point where he was talking to Sam DuBose at his car door, picking himself up off of Ray Street.
But even if that's true, he shoots him before that. Even if he ultimately gets dragged, you tell me, he appears to shoot him before any dragging might take place.
I can't sit here and banter back and forth about what the tape does or does not show. Everybody has their own opinion, own interpretation of it. Hopefully at some point, after we get a little further into this, we will be able to retain the services of an expert who can break that tape down.
Let me ask you a quick question, though, before I get back to the other guys, which is the DA came out and said something yesterday that caught my eye, which is there was something in this officer's history that led him to believe he never should have been allowed to be a cop, that this was going to come out, but he found something in Tenzing's background that would support the belief he never should have been a police officer.
He hasn't shared that with me, which is part of the problem with this entire case, is that the prosecutor and various other people have shared a whole lot of things that I don't know whether they have evidence to support that or back it up or not. They've tried this case in the press, and part of it, I think, is because of the fear that there may be a repeat Ferguson, Missouri, or Baltimore, Maryland here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they're attempting to keep a lid on it by throwing my client under the bus.
Stu, thank you. Back to Mark and Arthur now. What do you make of that, Arthur? That charge that it's being overcharged and the DA is being overly vocal because of what we've seen.
I'm so glad you asked me that question, man, because we need to be consistent. If we're going to come down on Mosley, District Attorney Mosley in Baltimore, for her comments, I would put this district attorney in the exact same category.
He's saying more than she said.
Correct. That is not the way I was raised as a prosecutor. The prosecutor has one press conference where he gives the facts impassionately. Not this is the most horrible thing I've ever seen, but these are the facts, and this is what we're going to pursue, and these are the counts we're going to pursue. We'll see you in the courtroom. Thank you, and we walk away. And that's not what's happening here, so I criticize him the same way I criticize District Attorney Mosley.
And the question is, Mark, in that same vein, and I'm not defending this police officer. I admit that this tape looks terrible. But many are asking how he gets a murder charge here as opposed to a manslaughter charge.
Because in that state, all it takes is a purposeful shooting. There's no first, there's no second, if it was deliberate. The only thing that would counter that would be his argument, well, I had my finger near the trigger and it just happened to go off and I didn't intend to do it. But that's not what he's arguing. And so it's purposeful. And so unless he's got the defense, which it doesn't appear based on this video.
Mistaken self-defense would be a better defense here, Arthur, where he could say, I thought he was going to run me over, like I believe, but he He was not
gonna do
dragging
it,
him
Meg.
before that gun went off. Go ahead.
Obviously, in this situation, we can't say that the cover-up is worse than the crime because here it's horrible. But it is. I mean, his statements afterwards, in my opinion, from the little that we know so far, are horrible. And the other two officers are saying, yes, I saw it too. Yeah, we both saw him getting dragged by the car, which is just not accurate. And the reason why sometimes, Megyn, they charge the higher count is to give defense attorneys the ability to plea bargain, to give themselves, okay, he's charged with the murder, the high murder, we'll plea him down to the manslaughter. Instead of life, we'll give him 20 years, and the case disappears.
And Megyn,
Yep.
his lawyer talked about experts. You're going to have jurors who aren't robots who are going to look at the video and make their own determination as to whether he was being dragged at the time that he shot this victim.
That's
and
right.
It doesn't look good for the defense.
Two other officers are on a paid administrative leave right now. One of them is the guy who said, I saw it too. And so we'll see what happens with all three of these guys. Good to see you both. Thank you.
Thanks.